So the Vintage Series lineup is based on circuits from the 50s and 60s. And when it comes to the Delta Junior and the Clarksdale, I actually went to college in Oxford, Mississippi at the University of Mississippi, which is an hour east of Clarksdale, Mississippi. During that time, I was learning about the blues and how the blues really were the foundation for a lot of music that I listened to. And so I went over to Clarksdale, Mississippi a number of times, and I saw the Delta Blues Museum and the Crossroads and all that. And it was really eye-opening and a lot of fun. So fast forward to launching SonicTone, I thought it would be really appropriate for the Tweed amp to be named something in that genre. And so the Delta Junior came to mind. And I thought that was a really, really good name for it. And then when naming the larger 60-watt 6L6 amp, I thought Clarksdale was a perfect name for it. The 67 Special is a British circuit that when it was released around 1967 had a classic sound to it that we know today from the late 60s and early 70s. But that amp really is 2 amps in one. And if you switch over to the tube rectifier with a little more negative feedback, you get more of an early 60s sound. So it was almost called the 63 Special. But I think the 67 era circuit is really home base for that amp. And so I went with the 67 Special. So the Classic Series lineup is based on circuits from the 70s and 80s. Starting with the 81 Special, when that circuit hit the market in 1981, it became one of the biggest and most popular amps of the 80s. So that really is the crown jewel of that lineup, and I thought it was a no-brainer to call it the 81 Special, much like the 67 Special in the Vintage Series. The Royal Crown 30 or RC30, that's an amp that's built for rock and roll royalty or Queen, if you know what I mean. And so that I thought was really cool to kind of stick with the naming convention that's popular for when people build that kind of circuit. So the RC30 or Royal Crown 30 fit well there. And then the half pint is sort of my own concoction where I take the preamp of the 81 Special and combine it with the power section of the RC30, but in a smaller format package. And it is really like the little brother of those two amps. So, half pint kind of jumped to mind on that one. And I think it fits well. It's a small amp, but it's got a really big sound. The Modern Series lineup is SonicTone's flagship lineup based on more modern high-gain circuits. I've long since been enamored with the whole British versus American thing when it comes to music and amp building. Obviously, it's yielded great results as we play off each other from across the pond. And so I thought with that, have a little fun with the American Revolutionary War theme, a good old British versus American Battle Royale. And on one corner, you've got the British-voiced Loyalists. It's typically in red Tolex with the EL34s. More of a mid-focus tone with a tight low end. And on the other side, you have the Patriot, American voiced with 6L6s, a little bit more of a mid-scoop tone and a fatter low end. And then you've got the one in the middle, the Soldier for Hire, the Mercenary that can play either side. You can get the British voiced 50-watt version with the EL34s, or you can get the American voiced 60-watt version with the 6L6s. So I think it's just a lot of fun to play with that and have people pick their side on which one they like the most. I came up with the name SonicTone during the summer of 2020 when I was on vacation with my family. During some downtime, I started thinking about the name and branding that I wanted to associate with these amp circuits that I was designing. I even went down the rabbit hole of looking up Latin prefixes and Greek prefixes, but it turned out all the cool ones were already taken. So I circled back to SonicTone. I knew that I wanted the word tone in there because for me, it's all about finding your tone. And even though SonicTone may sound a little basic and kind of right down Main Street, I thought it had a nice ring to it and was easily rememberable, so I went with SonicTone. One of the questions I get asked all the time is why I didn't use my last name, Sagona. Well, I love my family and my family name. I didn't think it had quite the ring to it for an amp company. Maybe if I was opening an Italian restaurant or something like that. Plus, there's another famous amp builder out there of Italian descent that has a 3-syllable last name that starts with S, so I didn't want to have any confusion coming out the gate there. So I went with more of a brand-oriented name, and SonicTone it is.